This is a video of the dissection of the sheep kidney that I was provided. The first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to be able to see the interior parts of the kidney and be able to label the structures and such. And so what I did is I took this scalpel here and I basically cut it down the middle as best as I could. And so if I open this up, we can see these structures here on the inside, and going from superficial to deep, superficial meaning the outward part of the kidney to the interior part of the kidney. It's kind of hard to see, but there's this fibrous layer here on the outside, and that fibrous part on the superficial part is called the fibrous capsule. This outer part that you see on both of the sides here, this outer part and this outer part, is called the renal cortex. This middle portion here that you see, that's darker colored on both sides, that is called the renal medulla. And that is made up of what's called the renal pyramids. The renal pyramids are basically cone-shaped structures found in the medulla, and it faces the cortex, and then the apex faces the hilus. And the hilus is that impression where the renal artery and the renal vein and ureter enter and exit the kidney itself. So if you look closely enough, it's kind of hard to see with this lighting, but the medullary or the renal pyramids are these sections here called the pyramids, and these are on both of the kidneys sections. And then the base of the pyramids is the renal cortex. So it's these parts here. It's just, and the tips of the renal pyramids go into the renal pelvis, which is that large cavity that receives urine from the major calces. And then the renal papilla is that apex of the renal pyramid, and that is the continuous with the minor calyx. So this part here would be the tip on these sides, like in here. The renal lobe consists of the pyramid itself, and then a portion of the cortex at the pyramid base here, and then it's also a portion of the renal column. So just to give you an idea of what a renal lobe or the lobe of the kidney would be, it would be this whole section right here, the pyramid, because this would be the base. So it would be this whole section, just on both sides. And then the region between the renal pyramids would be the columns themselves. So it would be like this region in between here. They're like very small regions, actually, the columns would be. So the pyramid it'd be right here, and then the columns would just be in between these pyramids. And then I'm sure you're wondering what this section is here. And this is filled with adipose tissue, but it is called the renal pelvis. And this is where that urine comes from, and it connects to the ureter of the kidney as well. So there's branches, and it's hard to see with this lighting, but there's branches within the renal pelvis, and these branches are called the calyx. And they're just small branches. And there's two different parts of the calyx, and this part down here would be called the major calyx, and then it branches up, and these branches would be considered the minor calyx. And then I'm sure you're wondering what this long strand is here from the beginning, and that is the ureter. And the ureter is that tube that connects the kidney to the urinary bladder. And that is the dissection of the sheep kidney.